What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dwarven Horde TCG. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most explosive mechanics in Magic the Gathering, Haste. Let's jump into it. Have you ever been attacked by a creature the same turn that it enters the battlefield and thought, wait, how did you hit me already? That's how Haste works. Haste is one of the most aggressive mechanics in the game. It speeds up combat. It enables crazy combos on the very first turn that it comes out, and it can completely catch your opponents off guard. So today we're going to break down what Haste actually does, why is it so powerful, some of the best cards in Magic that will either have Haste or give Haste to your creatures, and how you can use it to dominate your commander games. What is Haste? Let's look at the rules for it. So first, Haste is normally in Magic, creatures have something called Summoning Sickness. This means when a creature enters the battlefield, it cannot attack or use tap abilities unless it has been under your control since the beginning of your turn. And in fun fact, did you know that Summon Sickness is actually a slang? The official ruling for it is Summoning Sickness Rule, but players have been calling it Summon Sickness for over 30 years now. It has become such a staple in the Magic the Gathering community that even Wizards of the Coast has used this term in articles that they have published. Let's get back to Haste though. A creature has Haste, there's no waiting nor delay. It hits the battlefield and it's ready to go. Think of hasted creatures as sprinters in Magic the Gathering. They show up and they start swinging right away. Why Haste is so powerful? Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, so one turn, it may not be massive damage, but it gives you some incredible value in the game. It gives you the ability to control the tempo. Tempo basically means how quickly you're affecting the board state compared to your opponents. A hasted creature that could tap for mana gives you one extra mana in your mana pool in order to summon something else out. So you could summon creatures like Ruby the Daring Tracker to come out with haste and then use that tap mana ability. You could pressure planeswalkers immediately. You could trigger combos that have combat trigger abilities and surprise your opponents who thought they were safe. Let's say your opponent taps out thinking they're safe, then suddenly you play a creature with haste and then you swing for lethal damage. That's the power of this mechanic. The ability to use overwhelming speed and force to take over the board state when your opponents let their guards down. It effectively removes any window that your opponent would have to react unless they have instant speed spells. When you're looking at strategies to use haste, you want to think about the type of deck you want to use. Haste shines a bit more in decks that are aggressive, that have commanders that rely on big creatures or big combos. These aggro decks love haste because they want to deal as much damage as quickly as possible. Cards with haste help pressure every turn. Instead of waiting turn cycles, they can immediately add damage to the board. Haste is also extremely important in Commander. Why? Because commanders are usually expensive and powerful. And if you cast your commander without haste, you're essentially giving an entire turn cycle for it to be removed. But if it has haste, you can immediately get that value out of that card. You could get attack triggers, damage combat triggers, tap abilities, all before your opponents even get priority to respond on their turn. When we're thinking about haste, we have to think about some of the staples. Magic has printed a lot of incredible haste cards over the years. Some creatures are dangerous specifically because they attack right away. One of the most famous examples is Lightning Greaves. Lightning Greaves gives a creature haste and shroud, which means they can attack immediately and they're also harder to remove. This card is a staple in Commander because it can protect your commander and speed it up. Another powerful example is Craterhoof Behemoth. Craterhoof often ends games the moment it enters the battlefield. And if your creatures have haste, that damage happens instantly. You have creatures like Infernal Titan, which can immediately attack and trigger an additional damage. Haste turns powerful creatures into immediate threats. When we're thinking about haste, it's best often applied as a combo piece. Without haste, you have to wait a turn before using any of your abilities or being able to attack. You can activate those abilities the same turn that your creature enters the battlefield if they have a tap ability and they are hasted. This means many combo decks run cards that grant haste. This allows them to assemble a combo and win immediately instead of giving opponents the opportunity to interact. There are also global haste enablers. There are cards out there that give all your creatures haste. These are extremely powerful because suddenly every creature you play becomes an immediate threat. Some decks revolve around effects like this to create explosive turns where they cast multiple creatures and attack instantly. These strategies are especially popular in token decks and creature swarm strategies. Sometimes haste isn't enough though, and even though haste is incredibly strong, it's not always the best abilities. Sometimes creatures are better off having flying or trample, indestructible ward, because if the creature can't get through blockers, haste isn't going to matter. But when comboed with other abilities, that's when haste truly becomes terrifying. Imagine a creature with haste, trample, and has huge power. Now your opponent has almost no time to prepare for it. How do you defend against creatures with haste? There are a few ways. First, there's instant speed removals that will be able to take creatures out that have haste. If your opponent casts a creature with haste and you can still remove it before combat. Second, keep blockers at the ready. Hasted creatures rely on catching opponents unprepared. Finally, cards that slow combat, that have effects that prevent creatures from attacking, can shut down aggressive haste abilities immediately. So in conclusion, while we're thinking about haste is one of the most exciting mechanics in Magic the Gathering because it creates a fast and explosive game tempo. It speeds up combat, it speeds up combos, it turns creatures into immediate threats. Whether you're playing an aggressive deck or commander strategies, haste is a powerful tool to keep in your kit because it's an ability that can either let you immediately use a tap ability or immediately attack. Sometimes all it takes is one creature attacking earlier than it's supposed to change the outcome of a game. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Haste Magic the Gathering, make sure you like the video, comment your favorite haste creature or your favorite card that grants haste. Subscribe for more Magic the Gathering content. And if you're looking to pick up some cards for your decks or your collection, there will be a link in the description below for my Pro Seller TCG Player website. There will be a link in the description for our Discord. We're always looking for chill members to play with, especially on those slow days where it's hard to find a pickup game in either spell table or convoke. As always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay golden. Until next time, peace.